So there is what I spoke about. Feeding in school will help to resolve the problems, leadership. School uniforms and books is another reason why people don't send their children to school, because they cannot afford to buy the uniform for them. And that is either the government has to help people to go to school with the, to help them with the uniform, or maybe like other countries, they can go to school without uniforms, or something like that. But we have our own plans of helping these people with uniforms and books, and maybe that will also increase the attendance of those children that are out of school. Next leadership. So the money we are planning to raise will also help address the problem of classrooms. If you look at the picture very well, you see those children. This is on the right. You'll be able to see the kind of classroom we are supposed to be having, which is normal classroom. But see the kind of classroom in most part of Nigeria. Outside, no even building at all. That is not a classroom. That is just like primitive kind of stuff. And yeah, so we might need to help renovate or construct some school buildings, infrastructure. Okay, leadership. Look at this one. Look at this picture here. This picture here is is look at abandoned bus that those students are using like their library. Can you imagine? This is a library they are using, they have. Because they don't have library in their school. I personally never had a library in our school. I never saw library before I left Nigeria. We never had a library in our school. And I never even saw one. I didn't know what it looked like. Just like these children. They are going to study in that place so that they'll be able to pass. And I see that they must be in the city or in town because they are even wearing shoes and socks. So that's supposed to be an advanced, civilized city right there with shoes and socks. And they don't have library. Okay, leadership. But with $5 billion, we plan to raise that money. And this is the way we plan to take them from primary school to secondary school, junior and senior secondary school leadership. Now, Vesekran. Of course, there are a lot of partners and NGOs and organizations that are already campaigning to give education to children. Every child deserves quality education. There are movements. But what we are going to bring in is another dimension. We want to come in with donors and partners who will be able to help finance this whole thing. We will be able to come in and provide the amount of money that is necessary. But we will need all these NGOs because we need food workers, we need field workers, we need people who will be able to do the job. And so we plan to partner with all the people who are passionate about it. Next one. It's leadership. So I told you about this, that I, Sunday Adelaja, used to sell firewood with my grandmother, just like these children in this picture. It's leadership. Yeah, so this is about resolving the problem of children that are out of school for the love of God, church, and nation. I have another slide that I could show you, but before I show you the second slide, which is going to be about resolving my own strategy to resolve the bigger problem of education in Nigeria. That is the second part that I could show to you. But before then, I think I have to go back to Mr. Israel so that he could tell us what he thinks about. I don't know if you were able to see what I was showing you or not.
Yes, sir. I could see. I follow you. I look at everything that you're showing them. One of the things that I have to discover is you are not just talking, you have details when you speak. Nevertheless,
So I didn't hear what you said.
you didn't hear what I said.
Say that again, please.
I said most time when you talk, you don't just talk. You work with facts. So some of the things you are showing us are things that are so factual and that we can also relate with. But before we go to the bigger picture of how to solve the problem, I want to have this at the back of your mind, yes, in that the mindset of Nigerians as it is right now is that education does not worth it. Amidst the youths, teenagers, and young ones, not necessarily at southwest, at northern part of Nigeria alone, even in south, southwest, southeast. And let me tell you, many people go to school in southwest as well. They are going to school for the sake of my parents are the one feeding me, I must obey. Secondly, those who proceed to university, they are looking for freedom to get out of the house so that they can do whatever they like with their life. And the question they will ask you when you tell them about need to give attention to education is, who has education helped? For instance, another Yahoo guy will tell you, my elder brother is at home, he graduated 4 years ago. He's still at home looking for a job. So the mind of the people towards education is already biased. Nigerians youth does not see any important thing, they don't see education to be something more important than just having money. I really want to have that also because I'm connecting this to Nigerian mindset. Nevertheless, we are going to be looking at to solve the problem. But the mindset now is already there among Nigerian youth that education is not that important anymore. What I mean education, I also mean that Nigerians does not necessarily want to go to school. Let me use the word schooling. Schooling is no longer important to anybody. The reason is simple. Because our belief about going to school is that you will be able to come out and get a good job. That is the belief. And that's not just what we believe, that is what the school has made us to believe. That's what your lecturer will tell you in class. That study well so that you can get good job. They will tell you for 4 years there are no jobs out there. You need to read very well so that you can get high score, so that you can get good job. That is the belief. And then eventually, what they have made us to believe is not actually there. So we have thousands coming out of school, still going back to learn tailoring, going back to learn a trade. So everybody is giving up on education or schooling. Let me use the word schooling. Everybody is giving up on schooling. Nigerian youth are becoming a fraudster, Yahoo boys, Yahoo girls. How do you intend to handle this mindset as you resolve Nigeria educational system, sir?
Yes, ladies, just slide. Okay, I'm going to try to resolve this question by showing the next slide, the next presentation that I have about education. And this is exactly what I believe will resolve that particular mindset that you are talking about. That mindset is as a result of the system that we have on ground right now, which is not working. So I want to approach this by telling you my program, my belief, what I believe is gone wrong, and what I think will resolve both the mindset of the people and the education, the way the education is right now in Nigeria. So that's what I'm going to, while we are waiting for the presentation to come on, I want to also encourage all of you to go and get this book, Nigeria and the Leadership Question. That is the book where I've written about how to resolve Nigeria's problem. Our friend Victor Bamishaye Victor says this book is the book that really gave him faith and, gave him a lot of eye-opening moment in how to resolve Nigeria problems. So if you really want to see how to resolve Nigeria problems, this book is going to be of a great help to you. So I'm going to try to go into this. Okay. So I personally believe that the biggest problem we have in our educational system is that our education is not based on vocational studies or technical colleges. So I believe that this answer to Nigerians' educational crisis will be to go to vocational education, or education that is based on apprenticeship and technical studies, technical colleges. Nigeria is in dire need of highly skilled workforce that can generate a large service and industry. Okay, go ahead, slide. Today in Nigeria, most laborers and unskilled laborers are imported from neighboring countries, whereas Nigerians complain of unemployment. And the reason we are complaining of unemployment, even though there are works in Nigeria, and other people from Congo, Togo, Ghana, Cameroon, Benin are coming to Nigeria and they are getting jobs. The reason they are getting jobs is because they have skills, especially from French-speaking countries. I don't know if Ghanaians are coming. Not too many Ghanaians are coming anymore. But we have a lot of people coming in from Togo, from Congo, from Cameroon, from those Benin, from Western, from French-speaking countries. And most of them are the ones, 90% of the unskilled labor work that labor force in Nigeria now are being provided by people from these countries, including Niger, Chad, and people like that. They are the ones taking our jobs. And not that, we don't have enough Nigerians who are unskilled, but they are not skillful. They are not educated. They don't have technical knowledge that it takes to do the kind of job that these people are bringing to the table. Our problem is connected with the form of education we inherited from the colonial masters. And when you say that, our people say, who has education helped? I understand what they are saying, because they finish universities and they don't have job. But if they had had the skills, the technical skills, after primary school and after secondary school, especially after secondary school, then it doesn't matter if they have a job after university or not. The skill will still have taken them through life. So that's why after university, people are now going to learn tailoring and things like that. It's a waste of time. They were supposed to have gone through that stage in their secondary school level. So what I said is that the problem in Nigeria, why our education is in the state where it is right now, is because of the form of education system that we inherited from the colonial masters. So what is this education system that we inherited that is bad and that is giving us all the problem? The colonial masters left us with a form of education which emphasizes the ability to read and write. That is on the primary and secondary school level. So on the primary and secondary school level in Nigeria right now, that is what people see as literacy. That primary school, secondary school is supposed to give us literacy. Because what the colonial masters wanted, what the colonial masters wanted when they were giving us education is to have managers and messengers who are locals. And the main focus of the education that the colonial masters were giving us is for us to be able to read and write, so that we'll be able to communicate with them, and so that we'll be able to translate for them. They just needed clerks. So as a result of that, most of the form of education that was introduced to Nigeria from primary to secondary level is called grammar school. And grammar schools, that is exactly what it's all about, is to teach you grammar so that you'll be able, that's why up to today, most Nigerians, when you talk, who say they are educated, what they mean by education is that they are able to speak fluent English. So they are looking, when you are talking to them, they are looking for any mistake that you make. They want to brag themselves that they can speak English. Because that is what grammar school is all about. It's about getting you to know the basics, just to be able to read and write and speak. So our people are going about and saying, oh, I can speak English, so that they can brag. That way they are bragging on the ones who didn't go to school, on their fellow countrymen who are not educated, who are not as privileged. So they are saying, we are literate, you are not literate. And our own idea of literacy is what I said, being able to read and write. But in England, America, Canada, and Western Europe, that is not the basis of education that is reigning there. So when you come to Europe, you don't see grammar school. Even in England, where grammar school was started from, you don't see them anymore as many. They are still there a little bit, but they are not the main thing even in England itself. But in America, North America, Europe, you don't see grammar school at all. So what do we have if there are no grammar schools on the level of secondary school in Europe? What is it that we are supposed to have? We are supposed to replace the kind of primary, secondary school education we have right now with a new philosophy entirely. And the philosophy we are supposed to replace it with is to say, just getting to read and write. That is for primary school. But at the level of secondary school, we are supposed to have vocational schools. Vocational schools. So that nobody can say he has finished secondary school without having a skill and without having having gone through apprenticeship, without having a kind of vocation that he can work with and make money by. No way dash. So the model the colonial master brought to us and left us with is called grammar school model instead of a vocational school model. Look at these photographs. You see grammar school? That grammar school, that's the highest level of school we have in Nigeria. Grammar school, because that's what they brought to us. But in Western world, you don't see many grammar schools. But in most of the Western world countries, you see the second photograph? That is a school right there. That is secondary school. You cannot finish secondary school without going through this. The only difference is that, in this photograph you are seeing, it is people who are interested, who are in the class of building. So they are taught the vocation, the skills in building. There are some people who will do other kind of things. Like mechanical kind of things, for example, like car repairs and things like that. So by the time you finish school, you can handle anything. Primary school, secondary school. You can do car repairs, you can do house building, electricity, electrician, you can do everything by yourself. And this is not just for some people in the country, the whole country. Can you imagine if everybody that has finished secondary school in Nigeria will have this kind of skill? Vocational schools are what we need to turn our secondary school to. Of course, there will also be, in secondary school also, apart from these vocational ones, there will also be the ones who want to study science and go to college, go to secondary school, go to university, or want to study law and go to university. But most people, it will be like this. 80%. In most of the Western countries, only 20% of people go to university. 80% of them are doing this kind of job. They are going through apprenticeship. After secondary school, they have the basic knowledge, then they go to colleges. And the colleges are the ones that are supposed to now teach them the apprenticeship so that they work with a master. And then they go, that's why most of the bankers in America and the world, they didn't go to universities. They went to commercial colleges and commercial banking schools, which are just their own, that is what they call vocational education. So for you to become a banker, you might not need to go to university. You just need to go to your vocational banking school after going through vocational school like this. For you to become an engineer or to do car something, an electrician or things like this, you don't necessarily need to go to university. You only need to go to secondary school where you have vocational education like this, and then you go to a college where, that is in that direction, where you now go to apprenticeship. That is what must change in our secondary school and university kind of education. Okay, go ahead, slide the sheet. So that is on the level, what I've spoken about so far is on the level of primary, secondary school. Now let's now go to the second level of education that we have in Nigeria. In Nigeria, apart from primary, secondary school, we also have tertiary institutions. That is like higher education, higher institutions. So, like I said, that we have inherited the wrong model from the military people, from the colonial masters. So I've already explained to you what they brought to us, what the colonial masters left us with in regards to primary, secondary school. Now let me explain to you what they gave to us in terms of tertiary institutions, or what they call it, higher education. So the higher education that they brought to us in Nigeria mainly is university. That is the only more understanding that we have in Nigeria. University education is everything. And that is a problem. What does university education do? And what does university education produce? Because Nigerians don't have an idea about this. University education produces mainly white-collar jobs. White-collar jobs. And that is what they brought to us, and that's what they left us with. Which means, and what does that mean to an African? To an African, to finish university means I finish university to look for job. White-collar jobs are the people who are looking for jobs. White-collar jobs are the people who are looking to sit in offices. White-collar jobs are the people who want to come and educate, graduate from university and go and look for some employment so that they will sit in office. A country cannot be sustained by white-collar jobs alone. And that is not, the majority of the country should not be hoping to go to university to be looking for that kind of job. That's why our people are finishing university and they don't have employment. So, but the higher education that we need, our focus in Nigeria should be shifted from universities to technical colleges. Like I said, only 20% of people in the Western world go to university. What do they go to? They go to vocational colleges. They go to colleges and technical colleges. Most of them don't go to university. It is technical colleges or vocational colleges where they now go through and become specialists. So what do I propose for Nigeria? I will now explain on the higher level something. So as a result, most graduates, so on the tertiary level, education is seen more as a means of getting a white-collar job. I already explained that later. As a result, most graduates measure their education by their ability to speak good English. That's what we have in Nigeria now. And get an office job. There are several challenges with this understanding of education. The first challenge we will have in this case, and which we are already having, is that people finish school without tangible skills that they could use to feed their family. And that's why I understand the people who are telling you that whom has education helped. My brother finished 4 years ago, he's still sitting at home because the kind of what we call education, what we call schooling, university, is not, we are having the whole country cannot go to university the way we are doing right now. It is a failure in model. We should make sure that 80% of our people go through technical colleges. It is technical colleges that we should be the aspiration of most people. Most people should be encouraged to go. That is what will put food on their table. Because that is when they will not look for job again. They can do things with their hands. Slavery. The attempt to bring in correction through the junior secondary school and senior secondary school model still ended up a failure because the schools have not been reorganized to emphasize technical skills and vocational development for students. So our secondary school need to be totally rearranged. Let's see Let's see the picture here. This is secondary school here. See the photograph. In our own secondary school, you just sit down like this. It's head knowledge, theory. That is why even in our own engineering classes, people will finish engineering and they will not be able to do anything because it is head knowledge. It is only theory. But our secondary, especially junior secondary school and senior secondary school, this is my proposal. Junior secondary school and senior secondary school must be reorganized to become like this. At least senior secondary school. I have the details. We could discuss the details later on. But this is what school is supposed to be like. You cannot say this person who is on the right, finishing this kind of school, and the person who is just sitting in that auditorium, just listening to theory, you cannot say two of them went to school. No. The other one didn't go to school. Basically, we are still in the grammar school model in Nigeria right now. There are two ways to resolve this problem. One way of resolving this problem is to change the secondary school model being practiced in Nigeria today to emphasize, to turn it to technical skills and vocational development schools. Just like these ones we are seeing now. Can you pull the ecran? These are the way secondary school is supposed to look like in our country. Junior secondary school and senior secondary school, this is the way it's supposed to look like. That's what they call vocational schools. You see, look at this one. If we have a secondary school like this, then everybody will graduate with skills. Why should somebody who went to this kind of secondary school look for a job? You don't need to look for a job again. You already been trained, your hands have been trained to know how to do things. Even while you are still in school. The same thing with technical colleges. This is the way technical colleges operate. Only in secondary, in the technical colleges, they have become more skillful. They have gone through the process with a master. They have gone through the process of apprenticeship. They have now become masters. So they have certificates. So that is one way of resolving the problem, through secondary schools. But apart from that, the second way of resolving this problem is through a campaign, propaganda, and legislation to make the whole country be looking not into university anymore, but to redirect the attention of our primary school, secondary school graduates, that the only way for you to put food on your table is to go to technical colleges. We need to begin to lift the authority of technical colleges in our country. Another way of resolving this problem is to popularize technical schools as alternative to universities, which will emphasize apprenticeship, focusing on technical skills and vocational development, just like you see in these pictures. In Western world, less than, in some countries, 10% only go to university, or 15%. Averagely 20% go to universities, while 80% go to technical colleges. England is built, they built their economy not on grammar schools, but on technical schools like this. That's why they have industry. That's why they are industrialized nations. Industrialized nations build their whole economy on technical schools and colleges like this. You cannot be industrialized. We cannot become industrialized nation just by going to study theory. We need schools, colleges, universities where they will be teaching you hands-on like this. This is the secret of the Western world. Vocational trainings. Sledish. So what is my own plan? I want us to build vocational schools, and I want to give you the list that I have. And these are all specialties. So what kind of technical schools I believe we need to build in Nigeria? We need architecture. We need architecture and building school, technical school, that will just be teaching people and certificate and giving them certificate and diplomas, so people can get their certificate on everything relating to building. As a carpenter, you must have a diploma, a certificate. As a plumber, you must have a diploma. That is what they have in this country. You cannot do any building work without a certificate. So we need a technical college that would, that will only deal with all architecture situation and give people certificate on architecture and building, automotive and vehicle trade, aviation, building and construction trade, brick and block laying. Bricklaying. It's supposed to be bricklaying diploma. It's supposed to be brick and block laying, or brick, you are supposed to have a diploma and certificate, even if you are doing bricklaying. Concrete technology, even to mix concrete, is supposed to be a diploma on its own. Carpentry, general construction, agro-technical and farming technology. All these areas, we need different kind of technical colleges just in dealing with each one of these. So these are like 10 or 15 lists of something. These are supposed to be 10 colleges, different colleges already. So this list you have here is supposed to be different schools. So when we finish university, everybody will not be going to JAMB. Do you know the crisis in Nigeria because of JAMB? Everybody is failing JAMB. Why? Because they don't need to go to JAMB. JAMB is university education. Instead of going to JAMB, it will only be 20% or so going to JAMB. The old people, look at the kind of schools we need. All these are schools, colleges. People are supposed to be going to colleges in these directions. So there will be so many options for people to go and pick and study. And they know that by the time they finish these colleges, they will bring money home. But the ones who went to university, they will be looking for job. But these ones don't need to look for job. Because this is the essence of industrialization.